Your plan wasn't to kill your mother, but to rob her and you come in as the savior?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, she was never supposed to die.
He worked this whole deal with his mom.
At first, he was promising 5 G's. And then when I did it, and then he saw my thumb when I hopped and grabbed her.
Okay.
Started stabbing her in the stomach, I think. And, like, let's say you grab me with your left, you're pulling me close, and I'm just stabbing you right here, but you're like just choking me, trying to choke me.
Okay.
And I start moving, and I put my mouth right here and start stabbing you.
It was November 24th, 2009, a day that a son would never forget. As he walked into a room, he saw something that shook him to his core. His mom was on the floor, and there was so much blood. He was so scared that he immediately called 911. Later, when the investigators looked into what happened, they discovered something incredibly disturbing. His mom had been stabbed a shocking 44 times. It was a truly horrifying scene for that 17-year-old boy. Tabassum Khan. She was a 43-year-old mom from Pakistan living in suburban Houston. She had 2 kids, and she was divorced, which means she raised her children on her own. Her whole life was about her kids. Tabassum worked hard to provide for her family. She used all her energy to make sure her children had a safe and comfy home. Her most special person was her 17-year-old son, Danish. He was the youngest and still lived at home. She gave him everything she could afford, even fancy stuff for a teenager like a car and a credit card. She took care of all his needs because she loved him so much. But what happened next shocked Detective Brian Harris even more. He discovered that the mother's murder was not a random act but a planned crime, and the prime suspect was none other than her 17-year-old son, Danish. Right after the murder, Danish called 911, claiming that someone had killed his mother. However, this 911 call would eventually become a key piece of evidence against him. When the police and the detective arrived at the scene, they were met with a gruesome sight. Danish's mother had been brutally stabbed 48 times in different parts of her body. What made things even more unusual was that there was someone else's blood on the door, not just his mother's. It didn't take long for the police to piece things together. They realized that the killer had to be someone very close to Danish's mother. The reason was that the front door was left open that day, and the killer knew that Danish's mother would be home alone. The pieces of the puzzle were starting to come together in a deeply unsettling way. As they dug deeper into the case, investigator Brian Harris stumbled upon something quite strange in the 911 call recording from Danish. When the officer asked Danish if he knew what had happened, Danish replied that he didn't know and just mentioned he had come from Galveston. Now this raised a big red flag for Brian because Danish told them about where he was before they even asked him. It seemed odd, but there was more. When they looked at Danish, they noticed something even stranger. There was no blood on his clothes or his hands. That's not what you'd expect if you found your mom in such a bad situation. The police also learned that Danish and his mom had argued the night before. Danish wanted to become a police officer, but his mom wanted him to work in medicine. They also didn't agree on going to late-night parties. So, at this point, the police and Brian Harris started to think that Danish might be the one behind all of this. They began asking him questions, repeatedly, trying to get to the truth. But Danish kept denying everything. Not long after, Danish's classmate, Noor Mohammed, got into trouble with the law for doing illegal stuff related to drugs. He was arrested, and when he was taken into custody, he started shouting, "Tell Danish I'm going to jail." That got the attention of the police. When they looked at Noor, they noticed he had a cut on his thumb. So they did some tests on the blood they found at Danish's house and compared it to Noor's DNA, and guess what? It was a match. That was a big clue. So they asked Noor why he did this terrible thing and killed Danish's mom. Noor said something shocking. He said Danish told him to do it and promised him $10,000. Noor even described how he did it, which was really scary. But when the police asked Danish about Noor, he acted like he didn't even know him. The police didn't give up though. They found a security camera video from their school that showed Danish and Noor talking to each other. When they showed this video to Danish, he finally admitted to what he'd done. As a result, Noor was sent to prison for 40 years, and Danish got 50 years behind bars. When Danish turned 24, the media interviewed him and he said something really sad. He explained that he didn't want his mother to get hurt. He thought if he pretended to save her from a robbery, she would be proud of him and she might let him become a police officer. But when he tried to save her, he found out she was already gone. He deeply regretted what he had done. In the end, this tragic tale of deception, desperation, and a misguided attempt at proving oneself took a heavy toll on everyone involved. Danish's misguided plan to stage a robbery in the hope of earning his mother's respect and permission to pursue his dream of becoming a police officer led to a horrifying chain of events that claimed an innocent life. If you found this story intriguing and want to see more content like this, please consider giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us continue creating engaging stories and informative videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.